1 Samuel 14. I'm going to read verses 1 through 15 and then verse 23. I'm reading out a New Living Translation, and it says, "One day Jonathan said to his armor-bearer, 'Come on, let's go over to where the Philistines have their outpost.' But Jonathan did not tell his father what he was doing. Meanwhile, Saul and his 600 men were camped on the outskirts of Gibeah, around the pomegranate tree at Migron. Among Saul's men was Ahijah the priest, who was wearing the ephod, the priestly vest. Ahijah was the son of Ichabod's brother Ahitub, son of Phinehas, son of Eli, the priest of the Lord who had served at Shiloh. No one realized that Jonathan had left the Israelite camp." Verse 4, "To reach the Philistine outpost, Jonathan had to go down between two rocky cliffs that were called Bozez and Seneh. The cliff on the north was in front of Michmash, and the one on the south was in front of Geba. 'Let's go across to the outpost of these pagans,' Jonathan said to his armor-bearer. 'Perhaps the Lord will help us, for nothing can hinder the Lord. He can win a battle, whether he has many warriors or only a few.' Verse 7, "Do what you think is best," the armor-bearer replied. "I'm with you completely, whatever you decide." "All right then," Jonathan told him, "we will cross over and let them see us. If they say to us, 'Stay where you are, or we'll kill you,' then we will stop and not go up to them. But if they say, 'Come on up and fight,' then we will go up. That will be the Lord's sign that he will help us defeat them." Verse 11, "When the Philistines saw them coming, they shouted, 'Look, the Hebrews are crawling out of their holes.' Then the men from the outpost shouted to Jonathan, 'Come on up here and we'll teach you a lesson.' 'Come on and climb right behind me,' Jonathan said to his armor-bearer, 'for the Lord will help us defeat them.' Verse 13, "So they climbed up using both hands and feet, and the Philistines fell before Jonathan, and his armor-bearer killed those who came behind them. They killed some 20 men in all, and their bodies were scattered over about half an acre." Verse 15, "Suddenly panic broke out in the Philistine army, both in the camp and in the field, including even the outposts and raiding parties. And just then, an earthquake struck, and everyone was terrified." Let's go down to verse 23. "So the Lord saved Israel that day, and the battle continued to rage even beyond Beth-aven." And for a little bit, I want to talk to us about, what if it works?
Wow.
What if it works? My central verse is going to be verse 6. It says, "Let's go across to the outpost of those pagans," Jonathan said to his armor-bearer. "Perhaps the Lord will help us. For nothing can hinder the Lord. He can win a battle, whether he has many warriors or only a few."
Right.
And so what we see here is, it was a regular day. They were waiting to see. Saul was the leader. They were sitting around under this pomegranate tree, waiting to hear from the leader what they were supposed to do in this war. Saul was sitting under this tree. Jonathan, his son, was around. The 600 men that were there, they were sitting. And the Philistines were across this overpass. And Jonathan was an inspiration. If we think about it, we could be like Saul. Sometimes we sit under the pomegranate tree and we just look at the issue of what's going on. See, there was a war going on, but Saul was sitting under the pomegranate tree looking. See, because Saul had already, this is where Saul's mind is, I believe. He had thousands of warriors. Some of them went and hid. And if you read on later in this chapter, some of them went and joined the Philistines. He was left with 600 people sitting under this tree. The prophet had just told him, God is not pleased with you, and so your kingship that should pass on is not going to. Now he's sitting in this place of, what am I going to do? He's sitting here thinking, pondering, waiting. Whereas Jonathan says, let's go over there.
Yes.
Right. Let's stop for a minute, and him and his armor bearer. See, now we get things out of context a little bit with armor bearers, but in this day, they were literally armor bearers. They carried the armor for whoever they were serving. And at this point, Jonathan says, let's go over there. Let's go over there and see what is going to happen. We have to be mindful of who we surround ourselves.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
See, and this is something that we struggle with. It's amazing how patient we can be in a situation where it's unfavorable for us. See, Paul was sitting. How patient are we when it's something going on that we don't want to get involved in, where we don't want to be Jonathan and take that step? We patient with God. I'm waiting on God. God, I'm waiting on you. Speak to me, Lord. I'm waiting. But what Jonathan decided to do is, let's go on over there. Let me take a step in faith. Let's make a change here in this dynamic. And what he says is, perhaps God.
All right.
Perhaps God. Perhaps he will.
Okay.
We'll get back to that point. Let's go back to Saul, that sitting. We have to be mindful that we don't sit and just watch.
All right.
We have to examine why we're sitting. Are we sitting because we're afraid? Are we sitting because we're angry with God that we got to this point in the first place? Are we mad and regretful of decisions that we had made that kind of got us to this point? Do we want to sit and pretend that we're being patient and waiting on God and waiting on him to renew our strength and mount us up with? Are we doing all of that for real? Or are we sitting there because we don't want to take the first step?
All right.
My God, help us.
We don't want to take no initiative. We waiting on the next great leader. We waiting on Moses. We waiting on Abraham. Somebody stand up and say what we gonna do. Not me, because I'm just sitting here waiting on God.
Right.
But Jonathan said, let's get up and go across. I want to talk to us about that, and God wants us to examine that, because oftentimes we like to pretend that we're so patient, that we seek God, and that we never move without him saying so.
That's true.
That, I have to wait, and I only move when I hear from God directly. I can't just, and that's not the case, because we are in several situations that we have created of our own that are a mess because we got ahead of God. See, when we take initiative, sometimes it's because I'm tired of waiting. God, I'm tired of doing it, and we're in the wrong state of mind, and we're waiting, and we don't want to wait no more. So God, you're taking too long, I'm just going to do this. Now, that's not the place that Jonathan was at. Jonathan did not have a word from God. Jonathan decided, I'm going to take a step in faith.
Okay.
We have to be mindful that it's not okay to always sit back passively. This is our life. This is our children. This is our marriage. This is our career. This is our health. This is our life. This isn't a show we watching on TV. We have to be active participants. It's yes, we wait on God, but how do we wait on God? We need to be actively waiting. Saul started out with thousands of people. Now he only had 600. Some of those who left him went to the opposing side. If they aren't for you, they're against you. Stop looking at who left. Stop standing there waiting and reflecting on, I don't have this friend no more. The person that was my ride or die, I don't have them anymore. I don't have no comrade. I don't have somebody that I can call necessarily. The group of friends that I had, I don't have them anymore. I want to remind us of something, that everybody in our space ain't in our corner. Everybody in your space ain't in your corner.
I know that's right.
Go with what you know. You get one good person. See, Jonathan's armor bearer, we'll get to what he actually said to him, but he was the person that you want to have in your corner. Don't sit around and bemoan those who have left, those who you can't call, those who have just randomly stopped talking. Maybe it was a blessing from God in the first place. Maybe they shouldn't have been attached to your life anyway. So instead of wondering and worrying about, God, how did I offend them? How do I get them back? Why aren't we friends anymore? Thank God that he has cut away what ain't working and stick with what he's left you with and use that.
Oh, God.
It says that the people did not know that Jonathan was gone. This indicates that Jonathan didn't go over for a personal glory. He didn't go and tell people, look, this is what I'm going to do.
Gotcha.
I'm going to go on over there, and then this is how we're going to do it. We're going to see. No, quit telling everything you know. Quit telling everybody everything. Everybody can't know your next move. Everybody, you can't include everybody in what God is doing in your life. Everybody ain't happy for you. Everybody is not going to be like this armor bearer and push you forward and bind together with you. Everybody ain't about advancing you. So stop giving everything away. Stop telling everything we know. Some of this stuff need to be between us and God.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
In verse 6, we see that Jonathan made a bold proposal. In the King James Version, it says, "It may be that the Lord will work for us." So for Jonathan, this wasn't something that God had spoken to him. He didn't have any intelligence that God is going to make this happen.
Yes.
But he knew who he was serving.
Yes.
He knew that this battle was about God. This battle was about the children of Israel being free and not having to serve and be indentured and slaves to these Philistines. So his purpose wasn't worldly, wasn't natural, wasn't carnal. This was like a God thing. And sometimes we have to remember and remind ourselves that the steps of a good man are ordered by God.
That's what it
Everything,
is.
God is not going to spoon feed us every single thing to do. When we're praying and we're waiting on an answer, what is it that we can do? See, God does miracles.
Yeah.
God don't do what we can do. It's not God's job to do what we can do.
That's right.
Okay.
His job is the impossible. His job is insurmountable. His
That's right,
job is
that's
the stuff
right.
that I can't work out on my own. His job is to take care of all of the things that I can't even see coming that are attached to this situation. So what is it that we can do for ourselves that will cause God to join us in our effort? Jonathan knew that the need was great, that Israel was outnumbered and demoralized. They were hiding. They ran away because they were outnumbered, even with everybody there. Even with the thousands, they were outnumbered. They ran away, they dug holes and hid. Jonathan knew that. And Jonathan knew that God would use somebody. Something had to be done, and Jonathan was willing to let God use him. Jonathan knew God wanted to work with someone. He could have just prayed. He could have said, "God, rain down fire on the Philistines." But Jonathan knew that God uses bold action and the fighting spirit of his people. And this was something God gave to me that blessed me. It was not Jonathan that was to work with some help from God. It was the Lord that was to work through Jonathan.
Wow.
See, sometimes we want to help God out. We want to be the hero. We got the wrong type of idea where, God, what I'm going to do right here, God, I'm going to step in. No. If God uses me to get the victory, that's wonderful. But this is why we have to be careful and examine our intent. Jonathan's intent was, maybe God will help us. Maybe God will just show up and work on our behalf. This is wise courage in God. He said nothing restrains the Lord from saving by many or by few. Nothing gonna keep God ain't gonna lose whether he has 1,000 or whether he has 2.
That's right.
And this is wise courage in God. Many people probably believed it theologically. I want to stop for a minute and tell us that theology is the study of the nature of God and religious belief. That's what our problem is. We'll study God. We'll know what to say. We'll hear the older women and older men in the church testify. So we have that, but we don't believe God for ourselves. Sometimes we have a hard time with believing that it applies to me. So I'm not going to step out on no faith. I just hear what somebody said. I heard Elder Julian testify about how God healed him. That was wonderful. I heard Sister Pam say how God healed. That was wonderful. But I'm not going to step out and pray. I'm not that. No, because I know, but I know he can. And I've actually heard people say it's enough to me to know he can. No. It's not enough to me to know he can. I need him to do it for me. I need him to do it for me. We can't just live off the testimonies of others. We can't just repeat. When are we going to have our own testimony? How are we going to know that God can do something for me if I don't ever step out on faith? We know the word says that without faith it is impossible to please God. It is impossible to please him without faith. And then the word further goes on to say that faith without works is dead. I can't just believe God and say it. I've got to show it some kind of way. So it was important for Jonathan to realize that God and acknowledge nothing is too hard for God. God don't need millions of people to defeat these Philistines. He doesn't need that. The only thing that can restrain God is our unbelief. The only thing that will restrain God from moving for us is our unbelief. It even says in Matthew 13:58, and so he only did a few miracles there because of their unbelief. It didn't have nothing to do with God's power. Your situation is not so unique that God can't figure out how to handle it, that he doesn't already know the answer, that he won't provide the solution. It's not that unique. Do you believe he can do it?
Yeah.
What if it works?
Yeah.
What if it works? The odds were already against Israel. It didn't matter the number of people or the odds. If God be for us, who can be against us? We have to, it's more than just saying it because it sounds good. It's more than just repeating it because we've heard it all of our life. We have to believe it. And what you believe, you act out.
Yeah.
You act on. Jonathan didn't have he had little faith in himself, but great faith in God.
All right.
He didn't say, I can win a great victory with God's help. He said, God can win a great victory even through me.
Yes.
He can even use me and win this great victory. So Jonathan proposes this test. He says, after his armor bearer says, go do whatever's in your heart, I'm with you. See, that's the type of friend you need. That's the type of person when you're praying for something, that's the person you want to say, I need you to be praying with me. I need you to, we have to be careful who we choose to be our accountability partner, our prayer partner, our sounding board. We have to be real careful that they're not off somewhere. But that when I say I'm going to try God in this area, don't try and talk me out of it because your faith may not be there. I need somebody that'll say, you do what's in your heart and I'm coming with you. I'm praying with you. I believe God for you to do it. That was the type of armor bearer that he had. He said, go ahead and do it. I'm going with you. Whatever is in your heart to do, you go do it. Yes. So Jonathan said, this is going to be a sign. This is what we're going to do. We're going to go across here, and if they say, stay where you are, we're not going to buck God.
Yes, yes.
We just going to say, okay, we'll stay where we are. God ain't ready with us for this. But if they say, come on, we come. See, you have to make up your mind before you get in the battle. You have to decide what the marching orders are. Jonathan didn't. This is a different type of test as opposed to Gideon. When Gideon had a word from God and doubted God and said, if it's, Lord, make it wet on this side and dry here and wet there, if it's you. But he already had a word from God. This test from Jonathan, he didn't have a word from God. He just decided that my steps are ordered by God. I know God does not want his people to be captured by enemies, by pagans. So at this point, I'm just going to go for it. And God, if you allow, he said, if they say, come on, we coming with it. The two of us. Now listen to how crazy this sounds now. Saul wasn't moving with 600 men. But Jonathan and his armor bearer were going to go across and fight hundreds of thousands of men. When you understand that God is for you, and that's more than the world against you. When you really understand who you have with you, there's nobody that can shake you. There's nobody that can punk you. There's nobody who can cause you to doubt God because you know who's with you. Have you ever been in a situation where you had somebody that you knew could fight, or say you had an older brother or a cousin, and they might have been a little crazy, and when you went somewhere, you were like, oh, I'm good. You going? Oh, I'm good. I have a cousin like that, a girl. But if she going with me, it don't matter where I'm at, I'm good. And it's the same way with God. We have to know that about God. If he's with me, I'm good. I don't need nobody else. I don't care how many of their faces I see. I don't care how many swords and javelins they have. If God is with me, I don't need nobody else.
Yes, God.
So Jonathan was prompted by faith. We could take a lesson out of Jonathan's book because Jonathan didn't know what was going to happen. See, some of the time we sit under the pomegranate tree because we want God to tell us A through Z, double A, 1 through 4. God, where are we going? Can you lay out this PowerPoint? What happens after this battle? No. Jonathan said, if God say, if these folks say, come on, we coming. That's all he knew. There was no strategy. There was no battle plan. He trusted that what God said, if God let it happen that way, that God had all of it under control. Let's stop sitting and waiting on God because he only gave us a breadcrumb and we want a whole loaf. Let's stop doing God like that. Let's move out because God is directing our path.
Yes.
He was willing to take it one step at a time and let God plan it out. Faith is being willing to let God know the whole plan and to know our part one step at a time.
Yes.
God says, okay, God, I'm going to take this step. So we take this step and we wait. We want to know the whole yellow brick road. God don't owe us that.
Amen.
Because if we start getting the plan before
Wow.
he moves, we going to move before him
Yes.
and get stuck because we out of order.
Yes.
So Jonathan was taking it one step at a time. James 2:14 through 20 says, "What good is it, dear brothers and sisters, if you say you have faith but don't show it by your actions? Can that kind of faith save anyone? Suppose you see a brother or sister who has no food or clothing and you say, 'Goodbye, have a good day, stay warm and eat well,' but then you don't give them any food or clothing. What good does that do?
That's right.
So you see, faith by itself isn't enough. Unless it produces good deeds, it is dead and useless. Now, some may argue, some people have faith, others have good deeds. But I say, how can you show me your faith if you don't have good deeds? I will show you my faith by my good deeds. You say you have faith, for you believe that there is one God. Good for you. Even the demons believe this, and they tremble in horror.
Right.
Yeah.
How foolish. Can't you see that faith without good deeds is useless?
Yes.
We don't want to hear nothing about us being compared to demons who believe God, but they believe God. They know he's real. What's the difference between them and us?
All right.
Are we moving out on our faith? What if it works? What if it works?
Amen.
We sit and we wait instead of taking a step. And what if that one step is all it takes for God to say they're ready?
Right.
They want it. I'm going to intervene in their situation because they moved. They are ready. They're not just sitting back waiting on me to come deliver the whole bank to them. They're going to go get a job. They want some money. They want to go get a job. What are we giving God to work with?
Amen.
Jonathan climbed up on his hands and knees with his armor bearer behind him because they said, come on. How often are we willing to take the step and move if the battle is tough? See, there wasn't a bridge for him to walk over on. He said he climbed with his hands and his knees. See, we'll be like, okay, God, I'll take a step. You answer me and I'll move. But God, it's going to have to be like this. Like, I need to call, and I need to be between 1 and 3 when I'm on my little break. And then I need it to be from this person. And so then when that person calls, then I'll know it's you. See, we want to give God too many stipulations. It's either going to be his way or it's ours. Why aren't we willing to fight sometimes? There are going to be sometimes, don't get me wrong, that God's going to just deliver it to us miraculously. There will be some times like that. And sometimes we're going to have to get in the trench and we're going to have to fight. Sometimes our hands going to have to get dirty. Sometimes we're going to have to be inconvenienced and woken up at 2 or 3 in the morning to pray ourselves through. Sometimes we're going to have to go back and apologize and ask for forgiveness. Sometimes we're going to have to do some stuff that make us uncomfortable in order to show God, I'm fighting for this thing. I'm not just standing here waiting on you to give it to me. I'm fighting for what I'm after.
Yes, Lord.
And it says, and all of them fell before Jonathan. So Jonathan knew that the battle was up to God, but he knew God would use him to fight. See, we like to say that the battle is the Lord's, but what if God wants to use you to fight it?
All right.
It don't make the battle any less his. The weapon he uses is up to him. The weapon God chooses to use, if it's your life and your battle, my life and my battle, who's the better weapon to use than me?
Right.
Is that not increasing my faith in God, my trust in him, and involving me in the victory? Do I not have my own testimony then?
Yes, it is.
What if that worked? What if it worked?
Amen.
Verse 15 says, there was trembling in the camp, in the field, and among all the people. Because at first they said, oh, look, the Hebrews are moving around. They must be getting ready to go hide. Because they were so used to them hiding. Is the enemy used to you hiding? And when you start moving, he think you going to find another rock to climb up under.
All right.
Your pattern is so predictable that you ain't never fighting, you ain't never coming forward with it. You finding another place to go dig another hole, to hide deeper. The earth quaked, so that it was a very great trembling. Jonathan used his heart, his faith in God, and his sword, but God did what Jonathan could not do. He terrified the Philistines. They were confused. They didn't know. They knew it couldn't have been these two dudes that just came across here.
Amen.
They shaking the earth. They didn't know what was happening. But see what God will, when you decide that God, you can use me and I'm going to take this step forward, God will handle the rest of the battle. This just proves he was waiting for somebody to say, God, I trust you. For somebody to say, God, I'm going to do this thing and I'm trusting you to bring me all the way through. He's waiting for somebody who's willing to take that first step, and God's got the rest.
Thank you, Lord. Yes, God.
Yes.
Thank you, Jesus.
Verse 23 says, so the Lord saved Israel that day. So the Lord saved Israel that day. Not Jonathan. Yes, his step was the catalyst. But God saved Israel that day. Because God is the one that sent that earthquake. It was the Lord's victory. God was just waiting for somebody to have enough faith. You know, we hear people talk about crazy faith. This here was crazy faith.
Amen.
2 people going up against thousands. This man's dad wouldn't even move with 600. And he decides that him and his armor bearer are going to go, and God is going to handle the rest. Why is it that we wait? Ecclesiastes 11:4 and 11:6 says, farmers who wait for the perfect weather never plant.
All right.
If they watch every cloud, they never harvest. Plant your seed in the morning and keep busy all afternoon. For you don't know if profit will come from one activity or another, or maybe both. What Ecclesiastes is telling us is we can't keep sitting around waiting for the perfect scenario, the perfect circumstance, the perfect environment, the right person, the right car, we can't keep waiting, because as it's telling us, if you wait for the perfect thing, we'll never, if the farmer waited for perfect weather, there would never be no food to eat.
I know that's right.
If he waited for the sun to be out all the time, he could never harvest anything.
That's right.
Ecclesiastes 11:6 says, plant your seed in the morning. So do it early. Don't sit and wait on God. When you've prayed and you've asked and God isn't giving you a yay or a nay, you're just kind of in that neutral place. Make a decision and move. Make a decision and move. It says early in the morning and keep busy all afternoon. See, then because some of our problem is we'll start and then we stop.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll take a little, we'll move a little, then we say, oh, that was good. You see how much progress I made? I'm all the way over here. Look, God, there you go. I have come a long way. But Ecclesiastes 11:6 says, and keep busy all afternoon. For you don't know if profit will come from one activity or another, or maybe both. What if because we decide that we're going to step here, I'm going to plant my seed, I'm going to work this seed, and I'm going to work this one too over here. Who's to say that profit won't come from this one? We don't know. Or this one, because see, we're moving because our steps are ordered by God, not because we have a word from him specifically. But God, I'm going to trust you. I'm just going to step out and try you. I'm just going to prove you in this situation. So maybe this one will work. Or maybe this one will work. Or what really blessed me is those last 3 words at the end, or maybe both. What if both of them work? What if because I got up and moved, because I got up and took some initiative and took a step, what if they both work?
That's right.
Because I worked them all. Because I prayed and I said, God, I'm trusting you. And as I'm waiting and I believe my steps are ordered by you, I'm going to take this step and I'm going to move. What if it works?
Thank you, Lord.
We can't keep waiting for somebody else to take the initiative. We can't keep waiting for somebody else to be an innovator, an inventor, the leader. It's time out for waiting indefinitely, just sitting there twiddling our thumbs. Pray, seek God, and step out on faith. What if that works?
Yeah.
What if instead of waiting for your unsaved loved one to tell you when they're ready to come to church, you invite them?
Yes.
What if instead of waiting until you're completely confident and self-assured and not nervous or suffer from any bit of low self-esteem, you take a step out and do something new every week that'll strengthen you?
Yes.
What if instead of waiting for somebody to confirm you and believe in you, you believe in yourself because
That's right,
God has
that's right.
said everything that He made was good and
Yeah.
that we're fearfully and wonderfully made?
Yeah.
What if that works?
What if it works?
What if David only waited until he was older to fight Goliath instead of taking initiative based on knowing that God was his protector? What if he waited because Saul said, no, you got to wear my armor? And then what if David had said, okay, well, it don't fit me, so I'm going to go back out there in the field and look at these sheep some more. See, we like to pretend sometimes that we don't have no examples of people just moving out in faith.
Yes.
Goliath wouldn't have been dead then.
That's
because
right.
God didn't tell David to go do that. David said, I know my God. He has delivered me from the bear. He has delivered me, so you, Philistine, are nobody to God. You are nothing for me to have to worry about. What if the woman with the issue of blood only held so hard to the laws of the land and stayed inside because she wasn't supposed to be outside.
Wow.
She was supposed to be in. What if she hadn't heard that Jesus was coming and decided, I'm going to listen. I'm tired of this. This has been 12 years. God, I'm tired. And I'm just going to get out here. What if she would never know if it would work if she didn't try it?
That's right. That's
And
right.
she was healed immediately.
Amen.
God didn't tell her, come here.
Yep.
Jesus, she pressed through the crowd on her hands and knees and touched him. And he said, what happened?
Amen.
It worked because she worked it, not because she had a word from God, come today and you'll be healed.
Yes. Amen.
What if Joseph allowed his time in jail to make him bitter against God? Would his family have been able to eat? Would he have been in the right place at the right time for him to be called out? Because he was in jail. See, we think our situations and our circumstances disqualify us, and we can't possibly, God, I'm in a bad financial state. God, I'm on this job that I don't really want to be on. God, I have messed up. I have disappointed you. I have sinned. I have done wrong. God, I can't do nothing else. What if Joseph felt that way? What if Mary and Martha had never called for Jesus when Lazarus had died?
Yeah.
What if? We have too many countless examples of just take a step. Because what if it works? What if God shows up? What if he proves to you that I am able? What if he says, proves to you that if you take one step, as the song say, I'll take two? What if he just proves to you that, Britt, if you do it this time, I got the rest of it. You don't have to worry about this anymore. What if he proves to us that, God, I'm taking this step. I'm believing you. I'm trusting you. I'm focusing all of my attention and my every effort on pleasing you. So, God, I believe. I've been praying. I sought you and I waited. I didn't hear anything. So, God, this is what I'm believing for you to do. What if it works?
It works.
Amen.
What if it works?
Amen.
It'll never work if you never try.
That's right. That's right.
It will never work
Yes.
if we never try.
Thank you, Jesus.
We're standing.
Thank you, Lord.